𝗂𝗨 and welcome to this PBS program. I'm 𝗘𝗨. Today I have with me the EU Ambassador to Bhutan, the European Ambassador to Bhutan, Dr. 𝗗𝗶𝘀𝗰𝘂𝘀𝗀𝗋. Thank you for your time, Your Excellency. So before we talk about the relationship between the European Union and Bhutan, which was established in 1985, first of all, I'd like to congratulate Your Excellency for presenting your credentials as the new EU Ambassador to Bhutan. Can you tell something about yourself and what are you most excited about or excited to learn about or experience in Bhutan?
Thank you. Thank you for having me today in your program. I've traveled a lot around the world, actually over 120 countries as part of my professional duties, and for long I was been eyeing a trip to Bhutan without even knowing that one day I will be accredited as ambassador to the Kingdom of Bhutan. So in a way, for me it was a double pleasure to come this week for an important moment, the presentation of my credentials to His Majesty the King, but at the same time fulfilling a long-awaited dream of coming to this country. So it was really a very pleasant and a very ominous start for me in my assignment as ambassador, but also my private capacity to come and discover Bhutan.
Now, talking about the relationship between European Union and Bhutan, EU has been assisting Bhutan in its developmental activities since 1982, I believe. So what do you have to say about the partnership and the overall relationship between the two parties?
As you indicated, it's a long history of partnership. It's a relationship based on deep trust, respect on both sides for who we are, our traditions, and driven by a commonality of a view on how development should be done, sustainable attention to the environment, preservation of natural resources, human-centered development. And I think these have been a strong driving force for enriching our relationship. So I could say that it has grown over time in a steady manner. And that's what makes our relation like a tree with very deep roots. It has grown up, but it has deep roots. And I think what we are looking at now, it's like these beautiful trees behind us. This is a relation that has grown and expanded over time. And along the way, we've accompanied Bhutan in its unique path of development. So that is really a story, I would say, of a groomed, well-tended relationship, and as part of very much reflecting the attention given to nature in this country.
Talking about EU providing assistance to Bhutan, as you must be aware also that Bhutan graduated from the United Nations category of the least developed countries last year. So how is this going to impact EU support towards Bhutan?
I think everyone has to rejoice and congratulate Bhutan for having achieved this important milestone, which is a sign that its path to development is successful. It doesn't really fundamentally change the nature of our relationship in the sense of the fundamentals on which we have built our relationship are still there. But as we move to a higher level of development, so do we adjust our cooperation, our budget support, accompanying also the good governance, both at central level but also in the districts. How we accompany the development of the exploitation of natural resources for hydropower. How do we also, for example, bring new instruments like the European Investment Bank, which we just signed this year a loan, 150 million euros for the production of photovoltaic, which are signs of precisely of this development. So we will continue. And it's not because there is such a graduation that actually we are pulling out. Certainly not. We are continuing, and we will maintain our commitment and our support to Bhutan.
EU has been assisting Bhutan, supporting Bhutan in terms of capacity development of the Parliament of Bhutan. Can you tell us why does EU consider good governance an important aspect to be assisted in Bhutan?
So indeed, you refer, we have established back in 2019, it has developed over time a program called 𝗵𝗂𝗀𝗃, through which there is a phase 1, now we are in the phase 2, through which we support the Parliament, the 2 chambers, but also the administration of the Parliament. Simply, we are supporting the path led by the authorities, by the previous king, of embracing democracy. And the role of a parliament in a democracy is absolutely key. This is where laws are debated and voted. It's a mechanism of accountability, of oversight on budget and spendings. So it is the natural and essential part of a well-functioning democracy. So I must say our experience has been very positive, and we found in our different interlocutors, I met yesterday the Speaker of the Parliament and today the Chairman of the National Council, and I think we are really in a lockstep in terms of advancing the good functioning of the Parliament role. And as I said, it's about the administration, it's about the way they can exert their role. And I'm very glad to see that there is a very good interest and uptake. And it is really, I must say, driven by our Bhutanese partners. It's not, we are not imposing, we are not doing things, we are just offering facilities that can help them to do this. In this context also, we have been discussing today how to increase women representation, whether at the central level or at the district level, which is important. After all, women represent half of the population, and it's very important that they have also part and parcel of the democratic life, and they also could contribute to the political and democratic life in Bhutan. So you see, we have different ways of supporting the Parliament. On the one hand, as I mentioned earlier, the local district, but also other parts of what make a thriving democracy, like the civil society organization. So it's a very comprehensive approach we have here in Bhutan. And I must say, and we must really congratulate the way Bhutan has shown maturity, seriousness, commitment for themselves to develop their democracy.
Also, EU has been supporting, has been providing budgetary support to narrow the digital divide and also the overall digitalization in Bhutan. Currently, what do you think about this projects?
I think the nature of development nowadays in any country, digitalization is a key enabler. If you don't digitalize the functioning of your economy, of your administration, it comes at a cost. So digitalization in a way can be a booster of development. And I think it is part, as you described earlier on, the graduation on the path as a middle income country. It's only natural that we embrace also that aspect of development. And I think this is really accompanying Bhutan on its path for a more agile, a more modern economy and also political functioning. So I think there's been a good program, and we will continue to support it.
And one of the most prominent sectors that EU has been supporting in Bhutan is in terms of climate change and environmental conservation. And also globally, Bhutan has been known as a carbon neutral country. So are there any specific projects that EU is supporting in terms of like renewable energy and also environmental sustainability?
I must say, any international partner, we have to be humble when we come to Bhutan, because Bhutan by itself has defined a very progressive, very advanced approach to the management of its natural resources, of its environment. The fact that by constitution you have provisions that really protect your environment, and you must be commended, and you stand as an example in the world. Not only you're carbon neutral, you're carbon negative. Only very few countries can claim to be carbon negative. And that's the reason why, indeed, we are supporting not only conservation of biodiversity. My colleagues were recently at this tiger reserve conference, but also accompanying Bhutan in the development of renewable energies. So we've been supporting in the hydropower sector, but more importantly, as I mentioned, hydropower is a sort of baseload energy that you have, but it only covers part of the year. So by developing the photovoltaic, we can help Bhutan to sustain over the whole year cycle production of energy, renewable energy. So this loan of the EIB will contribute to that, and we will certainly, on the basis of the experience gained through this loan, certainly be accompanying other projects in this domain.
We have come to know that EU introduced a sector budget support facility to Bhutan in 2010 during the 4th biennial consultation between the government of Bhutan and EU. But now, call it my ignorance or curiosity, why is there a need for a third external organization whenever EU provides a budgetary fund and it is meant to be implemented in the country?
The budget support is to support the national budget. There is always an element that we bring through our project, which is in the form of providing technical assistance. And the fact of providing technical assistance is by no means a way of not showing respect or confidence. On the contrary, but is really to allow the quality use of by the Bhutanese authorities themselves. We are discussing about how there's been a reform for the public administration in this country. So all these efforts are pointing in one direction, is that Bhutan is really doubling down in having a quality management of its budget. And I think this is, on the one hand, what we want to see and accompany, but also there is an element which will be more technical, which is related to the way we function, that also provides this element of oversight. But as I said, that should not be seen by any means as either patronizing or lack of confidence, quite the contrary.
Amid all the support provided by EU to Bhutan, does EU have any method to measure the success of its supported projects in Bhutan?
I think in all what you would see, we aim at quality projects. And not just because as a partner we are demanding, but I think for Bhutan itself to be very clear about what are performance indicators, what are the specific objectives we're aiming at. So it may make us, as I would say, a demanding partner. Maybe we're not the most agile, but we're steady. We build foundations. As I say, we grow legs. And I think this is the quality of our partnership that should be recognized. And I must say, I've always find in my exchanges here in Bhutan very receptive interlocutors, and of course, if there are things that we could do better on our side, we are really ready to look into it. And I think it's a two-way process. But I think that's where I would say maybe our distinct quality as EU. Yeah, you know, the EU has been not only one of the longest partner of Bhutan, but also in terms of the level of support, we've always been in the top 3. And I think it's a sign of the seriousness we put into our support, and we will continue to do like this.
EU has been supporting, facilitating Bhutanese students to study in various European universities. So what do you think about this support by EU to Bhutan?
I think, you know, we are trying to support Bhutan wherever Bhutan really aims at developing its sustainability. So we discuss about the sustainability in terms of energy, the sustainability in terms of its microfinancial management. But there is also sustainability in managing its human capital. And I think maybe at the end of the day, human capital is probably the greatest wealth of the country. We know of some challenges faced by Bhutan. There is a significant attrition rate in the public administration. A lot of talented Bhutanese go abroad. It may be a source of remittances, but it's also good to bring back those talents to help and support the development of this country. So by offering access to programs such as Erasmus Mundus, it's also an opportunity for Bhutanese students to get exposure to Europe, to acquire skills and reinvest these skills in here. But I think this whole issue of mobility, sometimes it's more than mobility, it's migration. We're certainly something that we would really like to see advancing in a more modern way, because I really think both His Majesty's plans and visionary plans for the future of the country, and also for supporting the development, you really need to have the people, the talents, and you have many. So I can't help thinking of, this famous phrase by Kennedy, don't ask what America can do for you, but what you can do for America. It's everywhere the same, and maybe Bhutanese who have had the chance to have access to education, to get public services and go and live abroad, maybe they can bring back to the country some experience, their talents. And if we can, through our programs, facilitate that, I think it's probably a great service we can do to Bhutan as well.
Your Excellency, now I'd like to ask you a personal question. How long will you be here in Bhutan, and what are the plans when you are staying here?
The main purpose of my visit was certainly the presentation of my credential to His Majesty. I took a couple of days extra to meet all the key interlocutors in the Bhutanese government, the Prime Minister, His Excellency the Prime Minister, the Honorable Foreign Minister, the Honorable Minister of Home Affairs, of Finance and of Agriculture, the heads of the two parliamentary chambers. So that was really the political context. I intend to come back, not in a distant future, because I want this to be a working assignment, even though I'm stationed in Delhi. I'm not resident, but it's not just only me. My colleagues also come regularly here. So you have a very active and dedicated team to support and work in Bhutan. So we've discussed precisely with the authorities in the coming month to come together with all the EU ambassadors of these 27 member states. So we are looking at dates, but I think in a few months we will be back. So, and of course the whole Team Europe, the whole European family, which is very committed. Even though some member states do not have accreditations to Bhutan, they are very interested. And what is great with Team Europe, each and every of our member states has something to bring. Maybe in the field of mobility, of students, of training. So I think it's a chance also for Bhutan to interact with the 27 member states. On a more personal basis, I wish to come back earlier, maybe in September, for the 𝗵𝗂 festival with my family, with my spouse and my two little daughters. That will be a great pleasure for me to get acquainted with the formidable cultural heritage and traditions of your beautiful country. So I think, without taking any risk, I think I will be here quite often, and I hope to be able to also discover other parts of the country. I'm a tree hugger, a nature lover, so I would really like to discover your country in all its diversity.
Now, again, talking about about cooperation and strengthening the partnership between Bhutan and European Union, are there any new areas of cooperation that EU and Bhutan is currently exploring?
I think there is one area where the authorities of Bhutan have told us that it is very important for them, is to relaunch the tourism, eco-tourism, quality tourism. And COVID has certainly had an impact. So how we can help Bhutan to relaunch its tourism activity is something that we will we heard this request, and we will certainly are committed to help this. So that would be something that we will certainly take forward in the coming weeks and months. We are certainly also interested in learning more about this His Majesty's project of the 𝗘𝗨 mindfulness city. It is impressive in its visionary concept. It has created a lot of excitement and curiosity, and I'm not just talking about private sector, but also of our public administrations in Europe. So we look forward to know more about it, about the charter for the GMC, and how we can also connect what we do as part of our support to Bhutan, its 5-year plan, with the GMC. So knowing more about the GMC and see how we can develop synergies between our support to Bhutan and support to this central project of His Majesty is certainly something that we would also like to explore.
Your Excellency, since we're running out of time, would you like to make any last remarks?
Oh, I mean, as I said, it's a true pleasure. I mean, the presentation of my credentials have been a very moving moment for me personally. It shows the tremendous depth and the deep meaning that Bhutan attaches to the sense of hospitality, of welcoming foreigners, and I could feel that. Apart from the majesty of the ceremony itself, I also retain the generosity of His Majesty with his time in engaging us and discussion, and the smiles and kindness of all my interlocutors. So that was really something that I would say is a further incentive for me to come back soon.
Thank you so much, Ambassador, for your time and enlightening us about partnerships between EU and Bhutan, and for letting us know how much dedicated EU is supporting Bhutan. Thank you. And to all the viewers, thank you for watching.